All right, everyone. Welcome to a conversation with myself, Peter Rubin, and my colleague and friend, George Kao, about affordable outsourcing. So welcome, George.
Yeah, hey.
And we're kicking off 2017 with a topic that's relevant to all sorts of entrepreneurs, and especially solopreneurs. Um, it's a topic that George knows a lot about, finding help and support for entrepreneurs. And we're inviting you to sit in and listen as we talk for about an hour about how to find VAs and help with projects and other creative tasks. So George Kao is a marketing expert. He's one of the most generous and authentic marketing experts I know. And one of the things I love about George and the way he does business is he shares a ton of content freely. So this conversation includes, I'll include links to mind maps he's done on finding VAs, videos about Fiverr and Upwork, and a huge amount of material that George offers generously to his clients and the public. George has been a business coach since 2009, and you can learn more about him at georgekao.com. So, George, maybe we'll start by I want to ask you about affordable outsourcing and what your interest is in this topic.
Yeah, I have always had this strange interest in pairing people who could help each other. I think that's kind of where my passion for this came from. It's like, hey, somebody needs help and somebody loves to help on that thing. Why can't they work together? And I think too many entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, take the word solo too seriously, right? Or
Right.
they don't realize that a solopreneur doesn't mean they have to do everything themselves. And in fact, what if you could invest your life's energy and time in expressing the strengths and the talents and the passions that you can most express, that's most uniquely yours to do. And then let somebody else express their joy of, editing a video or designing a graphic or whatever it may be. There are people who specialize in doing that, and for whatever reason, maybe you can't even imagine somebody loves doing it, but they love doing it.
Right.
And plus, it supports them and their family. So why not give that? And it's like if you could, and of course, one of the common misconceptions is, well, it takes money to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
But if you could work on the things that you're best at and use the money to hire other people to do things they're best at, you will both collectively for your business make more money, which allows you to use your time more productively and more joyfully than if you try to do everything yourself. So.
Thank you. I think that's a good philosophical groundwork for all of this. What if we could all do what we're best at?
Yes.
I'll say that this past year, one of my themes for my business was team and leaning into this. And one thing I found is that it's very vulnerable to get help, to admit that we're not good at everything, we're not great at everything, or don't like doing everything. And this last year, I really opened myself up to having people on my team, outsourcing pieces of my business, and found that it was way easier than I thought and harder in surprising ways. I was happy to give up certain parts of my business, but there are certain pieces around communication and expectations. And it's really an investment, an investment in skills, being able to work with people and collaborate with them.
Yeah. And I think what you said about it's vulnerable to ask for help. I think that's true for people like you and me who have a wide range of skills. Because there are a lot of people who don't mind asking for help and don't mind paying for good help. And I think that this video is going to be helpful for them as well as for people like you and me who like, hey, maybe we should be outsourcing some of those things that we're doing.
Right.
And I think all of us can improve in that area, because I know for sure that this year I will be thinking more about how I can outsource. I mean, literally what I started doing a couple weeks ago, actually last week was a couple times a year, I do time logging to like have a timer. I use an app right now called Eternity. It's kind of a cool name for an app. And I try to log almost 24 hours. Of course, when I go to bed, I have a sleep activity that I start and say, okay, how much did I sleep? But it's if you look at the time you spend and what you spend your time doing,
Hmm.
Almost certainly all of us can really afford, yes, that is the right word, to outsource another thing,
Hmm.
to free up our time and energy and use it more strategically. So
Hmm. That's great. To me, time tracking feels pretty corporate. It reminds me of the old days of logging every hour and billing it to clients and all that.
yeah. Mm.
But what you're talking about is doing that for a week, right? Or
Yeah.
some
Yeah.
limited amount of time
Yeah.
very rigorously.
Hmm.
And then from that, you determine which things you're doing, spending too much time on that you don't like to do, and
Yes,
outsourcing those.
that's right. Yeah. What things do we most enjoy? What things do we really feel like we're learning from?
Hmm.
Um, and the things that are less enjoyable, or things that has become rote, that might be time to automate. So the other option to outsourcing, of course, is looking at ways, software to
Yeah.
automate it first, or even eliminate. That's probably the first thing. It's like, do we
Hmm.
really need to be doing something? Okay, yes, we really need to be doing it, or it needs to get done. All right, is there some software to automate that, some
Hmm.
process? Okay, no, there isn't, or it's too cost prohibitive, or whatever, or it doesn't happen often enough. All right, time to outsource it.
Right. Yeah, that's good context for this conversation. So eliminate or automate. And if you want to automate or outsource, you need to have a process and a system in place,
Hmm.
right? That's the thing that I think the reason I took so long to start outsourcing was because I was changing my business every 6 months and,
Ah,
didn't exactly know what I was doing,
yeah.
right? But once I started having consistent activities around marketing, around my
Hmm.
website, et cetera, then it became clear what things were automatable, right?
First step, hire a business coach like you or me, if you can, to
Yeah,
kind of get the strategy and systems clear, and then outsourcing makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
it's true. Because if your metaphorical workspace is a total mess, bringing other people into that only adds to the complexity.
Yeah.
You have to have some, prioritization and clarity
Mhm.
before you bring in people to amplify that.
Right. Yeah. And this is important because I have worked with clients I've worked with clients to help them build a team, but I've also worked with clients who they came to me, they already had a couple of freelancers,
Hmm.
and I see that their freelancers are basically creating unnecessary work. And
Hmm.
it's not that the freelancers are somehow, manipulative, or they're deceptive. No, it's just that everybody has a natural tendency to want more work from whoever's hiring them.
Hmm.
And so the freelancers were doing the work that I felt like wasn't
Hmm.
as for their strategies, which is why I think if you don't have the strategy clarified, and if it's not reasonable and aligned with your values and with your goals, you can end up spending way too much money on freelancers.
Right,
So,
right. So this is good. I didn't know we'd go here, but these seem to be some of the issues that prevent people from even going on Fiverr, or we'll talk about the platforms later, but
yes.
these are some of the, misalignments or places people get stuck before they are even able to look
Right.
and reach out for help.
Right. Yeah.
And also the piece about cost, right? Oh, I can barely pay my bills. If you're
Hmm.
at that stage of your business, I can't afford someone else to help.
Right.
And I hope this conversation convinces some of those people that it might be worth it, even if you don't think you can afford it.
Hmm.
Because of the time you save where you could actually be doing marketing to get clients or be doing your billable work.
Yeah.
And it could, forget even peace of mind and quality of life for a second, just financially, the
Mhm.
ROI is worth it probably sooner than you think. If
Yeah.
you're being smart with the way you outsource.
Right.
Do
Yeah.
you, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. And a lot of times we're not moving forward in our business because we are procrastinating on things that need to be done, which we hate to do for some reason.
Hmm.
And so, like, even with marketing, like, there are freelancers who love to do marketing who can help you with that.
Hmm.
So it's like, if you give it to somebody else who loves doing it, your business is going to move forward a lot faster than if you try to do it yourself.
Right. What's an example for you, George, of some things that you've outsourced and felt really happy that you took those off your plate?
Um, Gosh, just about everything in my business has had some freelance work involved, whether it's my website design, or graphic design. I mean, graphic design, website design, any kind of technology. Those are great examples. Video editing,
Hmm.
transcription. I even use the platforms that we were going to talk about to find my own marketing coaches. I always try new people because, and of course, I need to hire mean, my job posting is like advanced marketing coach, because obviously somebody like you or me, we need to talk to somebody who has a lot more experience and can kind of talk on that level. But literally anything from a coach to a technologist to admin. I've also had hired people to do outreach for me.
Wow. Okay.
Like, hey, all right, here's a list of people, or even to find a list of people to do outreach for. So over the years, name it, and I almost always have outsourced it or try to automate it in some way. Yeah.
Wow. Very cool. So let's get into a bit of the how-to.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's some of the theory of why you'd outsource. But so how do you go about finding people? Maybe you could talk about the platforms that are out there.
Yeah.
Back in the old day, this wasn't really possible, right? And now pretty easily you can find exactly the right person for the job.
Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the platforms that you like to use, and for what?
So so the two platforms I like are my go-to platforms where I can almost certainly find the right people are Fiverr, Fiverr.com. There's 2 R's at the end of that, and Upwork, which used to be called Odesk.
Okay.
Upwork, Upwork.com. Now, an important caveat I want to say is this: like, a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't possibly hire somebody who hasn't been referred to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I trust a stranger to do work for me?" That's like the biggest block that I've seen with my clients in terms of outsourcing. They're like, "No, George, you gotta recommend someone that you've already worked with." Or so first of all, even before the platforms, if you have a good network of colleagues to ask, you may want to ask them, because they might already have somebody that does great work for them and could do great work for you as well. So don't think about that as an option.
Mm-hmm.
But even when I'm hiring somebody who has been referred, I actually would love to have them have a Fiverr or Upwork profile, because when I hire someone through Fiverr or Upwork, they have public ratings. And so it gives me there's more accountability. Like, if I hire somebody only through a referral and they don't do a good job for me, the only person who will know is the person who referred that person. And it's like, okay,
Right.
But if someone doesn't do a good job for me on Fiverr or Upwork, I can let that be known on the rating system right there to say, all right, this is a 3-star job.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I give 4 or 5 stars. I'm very conscious, like, hey, these are people's careers here. And so I probably rate higher than most people do. But I have given 4 stars or 3 stars because that person was overpromised on the job. And I will say, as the comment with a rating, I'll say, what this person did well was this, so I recommend hiring them for that. What this person didn't do as well and probably overreached was in this area, and they need work on that area. So those are the 2 platforms I recommend. Fiverr is great for kind of quicker jobs or more defined pieces of work, like transcription or video editing, or graphic design, logo design, creating a website. And Upwork is better for things that you are not really sure how to hire for. It's a good way to just say, I need this done, but I'm not exactly sure. And in fact, on Upwork, you can go and search. And I don't know if you want to share your screen, Peter, and I can kind of walk you through it. And
let's. Are you able to share yours? Is that possible?
I can. Yeah,
okay, let's do that.
Sure.
It'd be great to get a short tour of Fiverr and Upwork.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know you use TaskRabbit as well. Maybe you could give a.
Yeah, TaskRabbit is more for local stuff, like plumbing and sort of handyman kind of situations.
Got it.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Okay. And as you're pulling that up, I'll say one thing that's interesting is that this trend towards transparency and accountability, with Yelp, with Google Business, is really changing the face of how we hire, right? And it enables us to begin to trust and know people who are across the world that we've never met.
Right.
It's really fascinating.
Yeah, and Yelp, and actually is a good example of another. Basically, could be a freelancer platform, because you could find all kinds of, especially local freelancers on here.
Right,
So,
right, right.
but Fiverr is kind of my first place to go. And on Fiverr, once you log in, you basically can start to find services. So you want to give me an example? Okay, so for
Yeah,
example,
so
so
here's
like,
one that I've been
yeah,
looking for is a Squarespace specialist
okay.
who's
So
able to create Squarespace websites.
great. So we'll just type in Squarespace, press enter. Squarespace, for those of you who don't know, is a software for building a website that's much easier to use than WordPress, for example.
Mm.
So when I search Squarespace, here's how I would find the freelancer I'm looking for. So first of all, I'd go down here. I would sort by average customer review, and there you go. So like now I'm looking at people who have great reviews. On average. So even though this person has 37, this person has a 111, this person has consistently maybe higher ratings than this person.
Mm.
But they're all look at this, they're all average of 5 stars, 37 reviews, 111. And so starting at 150, starting at 195. So even though Fiverr originally started as people willing to do little tasks for $5, it's really evolved into people, some people love selling packages. So this person says they will design a Squarespace site in 48 hours for 150 and up. Now, people look at this and say, really? Because
usually, I'm shocked actually.
Yeah, because usually, and Peter, I know you're a website designer.
And the question is it any good?
Right.
The old adage, you get what you pay for. So what is your experience with the quality and what you get, and
quality?
How can it be so cheap? Explain how this works.
Quality actually. It's a mix, but here's the key. You can at least get ideas from paying a little bit of money. Like for example, the last podcast I had, my logo was done through Fiverr. Whereas if I had hired a graphic designer locally in the Bay Area, it would have been hundreds or thousands of dollars for a good logo.
Right.
Through Fiverr, I got it for $35 was one that I hired several people at I said, for $5, just give me a really, really quick idea of what you might do. Just really quick. Just, even if it took you 10 minutes. And then after hiring a couple people for $5, like 3 or 4 people, then I said, oh, I like this person's style. So then I hired her for her full package, the podcast logo package for $35. And that includes several revisions. And I was happy with it. And
wow.
My podcast audience liked it. So that was an example of really, really
wow, interesting.
And with websites, same thing. I've had clients hire people through Fiverr, and they've been happy with the work for $100, $200, maybe $300.
Right.
The key is to, there's an old adage. It's kind of a harsh saying, but the saying goes, "Hire slowly, fire quickly." And we'll talk about that. But when it comes to hire slowly, you can hire this person will do starting 150. You can say, hey, listen, can I hire you for $15 first? Just to give me a sense of how you work. What would be an example of some sites that you would do? What's an example? Look at my site and see how you would design it. Just give me some quick advising for $15. And they're usually happy to do that. And then you can hire them for their full package. So
Very
let's
cool.
look at this person, and we're looking at this here. This person has a video, kind of a trailer video you can look at, and blah blah blah. They'll show you some of the examples, but I like to go directly to some of the images they've uploaded to show us their taste. Okay, so you can see if you like that or not, and other examples.
Okay.
Lots of examples here. And the other thing I like to do is I like to scroll down and look at, this is a quick way to kind of vet somebody, look at their most recent reviews. And I'll give you a shortcut here. When someone says outstanding experience, this is the default Fiverr review comment. If you only
got it. I saw those earlier and were wondering if they were fake.
No. If you don't write anything other than giving someone 5 stars, outstanding experience is what they put there.
Got it.
So you could see outstanding experience. I think satisfactory. There's like several common sort of default responses.
Mm-hmm.
But, I would look at this person's reviews in detail. Since I was nervous about hiring someone I never met. So that's a great example of somebody who, is like one of my clients.
Mm-hmm.
Had been referred by a friend, right? After reading previous reviews, I decided to go for it. Quality of work was excellent. Okay, so that's gives us a feeling that, maybe this person is good. But I like to look at if this person only has a bunch of non-detailed reviews, that makes me nervous a little bit.
Right.
But if you can find some detailed reviews, it gives us a feeling that, okay, this is these are legit reviews. And not that these aren't, it's just that why didn't that person say anything other than
Right.
So after looking at reviews, I would look at their packages, and just you could see, okay, basic package comes with what, non-responsive. We don't have to go into the details of what these things.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the packages, look at how long things will take, and if you need things sooner, sometimes it needs additional cost.
Mm-hmm.
And what else might you look at? The other thing you might look at, of course, is their about. I've built over 100 websites. Read more, and this will bring you to their direct Fiverr profile.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say, well, how can they charge so little? Well, guess what? They live in Thailand.
Right.
Where the cost of living is less than half of North America. Probably, you could live like a king for $1,000, $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's come back to that. I had questions about, the ethics of global outsourcing, but
okay,
sure. For now, give us a quick tour of Upwork.
Okay.
And see what
so
that
on Upwork, I mentioned, and you could see my most recent job, advanced marketing coach, and I had 12 proposals. I
wow.
people to try them out. Right?
So on Fiverr, you seek people out. On Upwork, you can create a proposal. And
actually, I'm glad you asked, because one of the things I started doing last year that I really love doing is even on Fiverr, if you don't have time to look for people and vet people, please go ahead and try to do a request.
Interesting.
So in Fiverr, go to your profile area and click on requests and click on post a request. And the problem with Fiverr requests is they can only be 300 characters. So it's really meant for getting some ideas, getting some quick proposals from people. So, write in whatever, hey, I'm looking for Squarespace designer. In your proposal, please give links to 3 sites you've designed for personal brands like coaches and authors. So that gives you can even attach a file for further details if you want. Select the categories, how soon do you need it, what's your budget for the service. It's optional, so you can just click post. And what happens is it'll take about a day for Fiverr to approve that request, and then you'll start getting a bunch of requests or a bunch of offers. And so I'll give you an example. Manage requests. What was decent? 21 offers.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just made a request. I was trying to help out a client here. And for $60 they will some of these offers are very generic. They didn't actually read what I wrote. Some of them are detailed. Yeah, I'll do your edit. I know Udemy and blah blah blah, and I'll do it. So what I really like it when the person has actually read my request and given me a proposal that references my request.
Right.
And, you can get the best deals possible, and we need to talk about ethics as well. But
yeah,
you can get the best deals possible here.
It's mind blowing, really.
Yeah, it's really amazing. So think about it's like any idea you have for any business, you could basically create that. As long as you have the idea, you can get people to do everything else for you for affordable. If you want to use Fiverr and Upwork. So Upwork, the two things I really love Upwork for. One is you can actually look up what other people are. If you're not sure what to do, so let's just say all you know is you've heard of Squarespace, but you don't know how people should define a job for a freelancer. You can actually click on this magnifying glass and click jobs. And so you can search how other business owners are using Upwork to define the job.
Cool.
Right? And so it's like web developer. Oh, okay. So we'll click on this job and see what kinds of things people are using to vet people. That makes sense?
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
Because
And so,
that's often the hardest part of a job, is to
that's right. To
find the
define
right language to find the right person. So you
right.
can
And so it's like you could use
use these as a templates and
the
make them
job
your
search
own.
exactly to know what
Great.
to look for. And you can also, of course, go ahead and search freelancers to see what people think as freelancers are important for the job. So I just search Squarespace. And what I usually do is I usually use the advanced filters. Any job success, we might as well, okay, what does job success mean? It's once after I've hired someone on Upwork and I've completed the project, Upwork will say, was this job successful in your opinion?
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the time, the job owner, the business owner would say, yeah, it was successful. And so that's what this rating is. And, usually, because so what do these numbers mean? This means I can click on this and find 784 freelancers on Upwork that have a 90% or greater job success that have Squarespace somewhere in their profile.
Wow.
Just go ahead and do that. Hourly rate, like if you're looking for someone who's super affordable,
It's incredible what's possible with such a huge database of
yeah,
freelancers.
yeah. And then if you're looking for specifically, say, I'm actually I don't want to look for people who might say somehow Squarespace in their translation or whatever, or in their writing. So let's just look specifically for web development, web design, even.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, and then we'll use advanced filters to get even more detailed. I want people. Okay, sometimes you can actually, I've had some really good luck with people who are brand new on Upwork if I found that their application was thoughtful.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm in a hurry and I just want to look for people who are kind of making Upwork like really important, like where the rate, they're making career basically out of Upwork.
Mm-hmm.
What that means is it's people who have, over 1,000 hours billed through the Upwork system. I can still filter this for over 200 people. So why not? And even within the last 6 months, there's 20 people who have billed a lot of hours in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
Incredible. Might as well.
Wow.
And you can even say, I really want to be able to talk with that person with fluent English or whatever. But since there's only 20 people, I'm just gonna go ahead. Oh, the tests are another fascinating area. They have tests on Upwork, web design, design, principles of graphic design or whatever, web design. Tests that they can. Let's just use that and click. And if you're concerned about outsourcing to the third world, and if you want to see, and just I want someone in North America, you can do that. Let's see, that's weird. Americas, I guess is the only thing you could do there. That's strange. United States. Oh, United States, you can. So you can do specific countries.
Okay.
Can I do San Francisco? No, you can't. You can't be that specific. Bay Area? No, can't. Okay. So let's just do that. Let's go ahead and click Update Filters. And this is giving us people who have billed 1,000 hours in the last 6 months. And what you're going to find is you're going to find some agencies. Now, this is kind of a tricky thing that freelancers do is they join an agency. And so the agency has billed over 1,000 hours. Okay. But let's go down and look at this person. 96% job success in Pakistan. He has earned over $20,000 on Upwork, which, of course, in Pakistan, that's a lot of money. 22,000 hours worked. So let's just go, this is an agency. Actually, this is an agency as well. They'll have an agency member. Let's look at this particular. I like to work with individuals just because they're more accountable to me directly. And look at this, 60,000 hours, 98% job success. I'm going to click on this. And what I'm looking for, of course, the rate is really reasonable. I'm looking for, I click more here to see what all the skills that they believe they have. They've listed that. Skills with a check mark are where they've actually taken a test through Upwork. So for example, WordPress, they've taken a test. They're in the top 10% of all test takers.
Wow.
So that's really good. You look at their overview, you click on more to read what they've written. And then what I like to do is I like to look at their feedback. So this is rated by newest feedback first. I look at, how much money did they earn through that project? Okay. And I look at basically what have they been doing? Squarespace. Okay. So look at this. The last 2 projects were Squarespace projects. And what did their freelancers say about it? Okay. The other thing I like to do is I like to click on largest projects. So then I look at the business owners who have paid them the most money. What did they say? I mean,
Mm.
when they've earned the most money, what did those business owners say about them? So that's some really good. And then
It's incredibly comprehensive, and what I'm
yeah.
noticing is that the amount of feedback you get is so much more than any traditional hiring process,
Oh my gosh.
even for a full-time employee, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Oh
a
yeah.
resume can
Yeah.
have distortions,
Oh
references
yeah.
or just can be distorted.
These are public
This is, you
reviews.
know, highly accountable.
Yes,
This is
exactly. That's why I
incredible.
love hiring through this platform. Even if someone has referred to me personally, I said, "Do you have an Upwork or Fiverr profile?"
Right,
I want to hire you through that because that way
right.
there's real accountability.
Amazing.
And then if you click on 19 jobs in progress, you can look at recently what are the kind of skills they're building through the work they're doing.
Right.
So the last thing I want to show you for Upwork is I like to let's post a job, right? So if I found this person and I want to hire that person, what Upwork requires is for me to actually write a job posting. That's the way Upwork works. So if I click on invite to a job, Upwork will say, well, choose a job that you want to hire for.
Mm.
And if I haven't already posted a job, I'll click on create new job, and I'll show you a couple quick things on here, and then we'll go into other things. Create new job posting, the type of work, just make sure you select those things. Give your job a name. Okay, so this is if you're finding a direct freelancer to hire, it doesn't matter what the job title. Actually, it does matter. What matters here is this is the job title that will show up on their Upwork profile in the future for other business owners to look at.
Right.
So you want to make the job sound good for them, like, oh, I'm so proud that
Mm.
I did this project, rather than just saying Squarespace. That's not going to help their resume. So make it sound interesting for their resume in the future. If you're posting a job and you haven't picked which freelancer to hire, and you're just wanting people to give you proposals, think of this as a marketing ad. Like you want the job to sound really interesting for people.
Right, right.
And so what I've done in the past is when I've said when I've had people help organize my content, I'll say organize content and learn tons about marketing in the process, or something like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like an ad, and then the description should make you sound friendly. Don't just say Squarespace. Do a good job, but make yourself sound friendly as a business owner and fun to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Try to and also in the description, one of the you know what, I just realized that this job posting option is a lot less detailed than if I were to go directly to post a job. So when I hover over jobs and click post a job, I'm going to go there directly. What kind of job are you doing? Usually we're going to select this option because this is for companies that know they're hiring a full-time person. So
Mm-hmm.
we're really going into the part-time market. So we'll select that. And you can even select a previous job to reuse that exact template. So that's kind of
Cool.
so I'll just say this. Okay. See, Evan says, do good work and I'll refer you new clients. Right?
Mm.
Okay. So I'll just show you. I have other clients who need this kind of work done. I like to have you start with this content. It's good. I'll refer you. Blah, blah, blah. My content includes this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Please apply to this job if you have following characteristics, blah, blah, blah. I know. So in your application, I'd love for you to answer these questions. So I make people really,
Mm.
because a lot of times when you get people to propose job, apply to your job on Upwork, they'll use recycled proposals.
Right.
They'll be really generic. So I like to ask them to answer specific questions, so I know that they've read my application and that they're answering thoughtfully, that they've maybe even looked at my website, and they're like, because the freelancers I've really gelled well with are the ones who said, George, I looked at your website, it's amazing. I really love your work, and this is why I think I'll be good for the job. Okay, so I usually even put I need to hire more than one freelancer, because
Mm.
for every job that I spec out for, that I hire for, I always hire more than one person.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'll do is I'll say, all right, I'll hire two people, and for each person I'll say, all right, I'm going to give you a budget of 1 hour a week first.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe their hourly rate is $20 an hour or $16 an hour, 25. I'm going to give them 1 hour first to see what kind of quality they do.
Mm.
And then once they've worked with me for 1 or 2 weeks, then I'll either say, all right, thanks for trying, and wasn't the best fit. I'll give you a good review anyway. And then the other person that I want to keep hiring, I say, great, let me up you to 3 hours a week or 5 hours.
That's brilliant. So you're doing a trial period.
That's right.
And these websites make it really easy to do that.
That's right. And also, when I say hiring more than one freelancer, when I don't know if I can show you here, but if a freelancer is looking for jobs, in fact, we can do that. Find jobs. I'll just put Squarespace and see if we can find a listing where they basically highlight the listings that need more than one freelancer. Actually, we can't even see that here. But let's just say writing. Let's see if I can find that example here. Number of freelancers needed. You see 2.
Got it.
2. So it's good to it's good for them.
So this is helpful because I think people would be overwhelmed by these details.
Yeah.
And you've clearly gone through this enough and figured these out.
Right.
It doesn't look hard.
No,
it will take some time to do it well, and
okay. So
it's a skill to develop.
Totally. There's a section that says preferred qualifications. I like to add qualifications and the job success and all that stuff. And the Upwork will then let me know clearly in the dashboard which ones have met the qualifications. It's not that I wouldn't hire someone who didn't meet the qualifications that I listed here, but it'll certainly be easier to sort. And then, screening questions. This is really useful. Let me actually start a brand new job so that you can see where to post the screening questions. Start a new job post. Okay. So the screening questions is all the way down here, screening questions. And I will post the same questions that I put, as you saw earlier, in your job posting. The screening questions, in other words, I will paste it directly to the job description also. Because what happens is when you invite someone to apply for a job, maybe they fix this, but in the past, the invited freelancers don't see the screening questions unless you also paste it to the description.
Got it.
So that's why, I put it here for people who are applying without being invited.
Mm-hmm.
They're required to answer the screening questions in order to be able to apply.
Okay.
So anyway, that's a quick.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. It's helpful. So let's do this. I know we have to close in about 10 minutes, and I want to ask a few more, high-level questions.
Yeah, totally.
Because I think that's all useful, and the platforms will change, the technology will differ, but those seem like some very sophisticated tools for filtering and screening and finding your people. So thank you for that.
Sure.
I wanted to ask about outsourcing and people in other countries who are making $15 an hour.
Totally.
Right. I know the cost of living is different, but how do you think about that? Is that, is it colonialism? Is it, you think you're, they're happy because they're making money. So do you think of it as a service? And I ask you because I really trust your opinion about ethics, and I know you do business with generosity. So how do you think about it?
Really good. So 2 things. One is that this global platform actually makes it actually doable for solopreneurs and people who are starting out without a large budget to be able to outsource some of their work. Otherwise, you have to do it yourself, or somehow try to get investment for your business to be able to hire I'm assuming most of us watching this are North Americans.
Right.
And like someone who charges $16 to do a Squarespace site per hour, let's say, in India, that equivalent living wage is going to be $60 an hour here.
Right.
And so as a business owner, if you're only wanting to hire locally, you probably will price yourself out of being able to do this at all. So that the conversation pretty much ends right there. But I have, you and I both have a passion for people doing their passion and using their time well. And so I think that is an important enough priority where going to the third world starts to make sense.
Right.
And secondly, I know that paying someone even $5 an hour in Bangladesh is like paying someone $25 in San Francisco. It's not, actually $5, maybe it's more like $35 here in San Francisco an hour.
Right.
So it's like just enough for a living wage. Not like they're going to get rich from it, but I'm giving them the dignity of paid work.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a sweatshop because they get to determine their own work environment.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so your $5 an hour or $10 or even $25 an hour in the third world makes a much bigger impact. Just like if you were to, feed the poor, feed the hungry, your $5 a month is going to literally probably save someone's life in, sub-Saharan Africa, whereas your $5 a month to somebody in, North America is going to be like, are you kidding me? You're going to buy me a mocha,
Right.
cappuccino? But
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think I need to sit with it some more. The other angle to it is that there are plenty of people here who need jobs,
oh yeah,
right? In the Bay Area, in Berkeley, in Oakland, who
absolutely. And here's an important caveat to it, is that you're going to get higher quality work if you can hire locally, because the language is not a problem. The culture is similar as yours, so they kind of get you much faster.
right.
So the way I think about it is solopreneurs, people with a very low budget, you can start outsourcing with the third world. But when your business becomes more successful, or financially anyway, you're going to want to hire people locally, because you're gonna get better quality work, and you'll be able to know that the ethics of it is
Right.
well.
Yeah, and if you're like our businesses and have a premium level service, there's certain things that you just cannot outsource.
Right.
That some people think they can. Even social media, for instance. Have someone from a developing country post on social media. Well, there's so much nuance to know, to the culture, to your brand.
Yeah.
These are the sorts of things you could only do either yourself or with a teammate, who has a deep shared understanding with you.
Yeah.
And a heart connection, right?
That's right.
That's a huge part of it.
Because I'm like, just to test things out, I've tried hiring business and marketing coaches in different cultures. It just doesn't work.
Right.
I mean, culture, like something like a high level, like coaching, you need to be really, you need to really jive with that person. One more thing I want to say, I think that's important.
Yeah.
Is that, it's so funny. I kind of lost my train of thought here. When it comes to outsourcing, okay, so here's the thing. People who are in North America, they need to up level. So in my opinion, they with all the infrastructure that's around here, I think it's our calling to up level the quality, not quality of work, but the level of work that we're doing. Whereas people who are in third world, their infrastructure isn't as good, and they can do some of the more basic tasks because of their education or whatever reason that for them is sort of higher level work. For us, we need to up level ourselves. And so I think that's part of that comes into the ethics conversation as well.
Right. Yeah. And a broader conversation about privilege as well. And
that's right. Yeah.
And it's interesting to be, aware of privilege and ask these questions about ethics and outsourcing, and also acknowledging that if you're starting a business and you're spending hours debugging your WordPress website, that it's probably not the highest use of your gifts. Right? So there is an important acknowledgement that of the culture you live in and what your greatest gifts are and what is the impact you want to make.
That's right.
And if you're doing stuff that could be done by someone else who, can do it for less money and they feel good about it and it's an opportunity for them,
that's right.
It's well worth considering.
Yeah. And I think of money, as we think of money not just as transactional, but there is energy attached to it. And I think of when I pay someone money, I don't think okay, you better do this. I think of it as I'm gifting them the money and they're gifting me service.
Beautiful.
Giving them dignity of work. So there's a lot of benefits to it.
Yeah. I have a very similar feeling to that. Even if it's someone who isn't in the same country, you still have a relationship with them.
Yes.
Right. Yes. And it might be a more limited relationship, if they're just doing some tech tasks for you.
Yeah.
So last question, I think, before we wrap up is, have you ever had a contractor where you've then developed a long-term relationship with them, maybe hired them outside the system and worked with them for months or even years? And how does that work?
That happens. Yeah. I'm glad to ask. I'll say this. I'm much more a spirit of the law type person rather than a letter of the law. If you look at the terms of service for Fiverr or Upwork, if you were to be literal about their terms of service, you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
You hire someone through Fiverr or Upwork, and it goes well. Of course, Fiverr and Upwork want you to keep paying the commission fees to Upwork and Fiverr forever. And,
Right.
and, you know, some freelancers actually want to build up their hours there, and they don't even, but yes, if I can save that freelancer some money, you know, instead of paying Upwork 20% or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
like pay the freelancer 15% more, and I save myself 5%, both she and I win. And
Right.
so,
Right.
yeah, well, I've done that several times, and it's been great. And I've been therefore then able to recommend them to other people, you know, outside the system, and say, no,
Mm.
this person can definitely do this particular job really well, and has done that for me and for my clients, etc.
That's great. So, George, last question. Could you
Yeah.
share one horror story about this process going wrong, and
Yes.
then a celebration story? And we'll
Yes.
for that.
Oh, and I'm glad you said that, because I remember what I was going to say. The horror story, which happens, I actually see clients who come to me and haven't had this perspective on freelancing. They end up like I said, they end up hiring people to do work that's unnecessary, a lot of times unnecessary for their business, and sometimes even detrimental. So one horror story would be SEO. Okay. You're going to get, once you start doing this freelancing, you're going to get people proposing, I'm going to get you on the first page of Google. The SEO industry loves using these freelancing sites to do a terrible job for business owners. Not all SEO people are bad. Obviously, there's really good ones out there. There's a lot of what's called black hat, or people who are just trying to take entrepreneurs for their money, or not even necessarily trying to be evil, but they actually don't realize that a lot of business owners don't realize that a lot of SEO work can look good in the short term. Oh my gosh, they got me on first page of Google. But they don't realize that the tactics that are being used actually make Google punish their website in the longer term.
Yikes.
And they end up having to rebrand themselves because they really destroyed a particular brand. And so that's what I want to say is be extremely careful if someone's trying to say, I'm going to get you on the first page of Google or do search engine optimization for you. You need to understand that a lot better. Talk to Peter, talk to me before you hire out for that. So
that's not my thing. Talk to George. I actually have someone I hire out for SEO, because it is a whole world in itself. So
Oh yeah.
So knowing some of these specific domains where you really do need a full on expert.
Yeah.
And how about one celebration? What's the best freelance job you've ever done with someone where you were blown away?
I have used somebody for some transcription, then that became doing some content writing for me, which then I even hired her to do some coaching for me, because I just liked her personality, and and she already knew some of my content. So it's like you can almost help someone develop their skills if you like their personality and you like their drive. And so it's really cool to be able to see someone's progress through that.
That's great. Well, George, thank you so much for your time. I feel like what
great
you shared here is going to be of huge value to your clients and mine, and I really hope that people watch this and jump in.
Yeah.
You know that there'll be the occasional mistake or the occasional horror story, but for the most part, it's really key.
Slowly, as long as you don't say, sure, let's do the $500 job. As long as you say, or let's start with $5, $15, $25 and go from there. You'll minimize a lot of the horror stories or eliminate them.
Good. Well, George, thank you so much. And everyone, georgekao.com is George's website. And he has a lot of free tools, a newsletter that I'm on that I love. And George, thank you so much.
Thanks, Peter.
Wishing you an awesome 2017.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
Take care.